Next up, we have Caitriona Corr from Kilkenny County Council and Seamus Loughlin from Carlow County Council, and they're presenting together on the Gores Bridge scheme.
Thanks, Colin. We'll move swiftly through, try and keep everybody on time. The Gores Bridge pedestrian improvement scheme, it's located on the River Barrow between Kilkenny and Carlow, so it was a scheme that we jointly carried out together. The Gores Bridge is located on the R702, which links Kilkenny to Enniscorthy. The bridge is the only link between the residents of Ballyellen on the Carlow side and the village of Gores Bridge. It's important from the sense of a lot of students going to school in Gores Bridge from Ballyellen to get for people to get to their workplace, for people to get to the shops and things. So there was no safe pedestrian access across the bridge. So this was what we were trying to address in the scheme. So the bridge itself then was built in the 1760s by Ralph Corr, where the bridge gets its name from, and it has largely remained unchanged since that time. As you can see, the width of the road is only 5.4 meters, so it's very narrow for a two-way regional road, and as you can see, there's no pedestrian facilities on the bridge. Okay, so in 2023, both councils sought and received funding from the NTA to address the issues on the bridge. Three options were considered. Option one was a shared bridge with a raised footpath for pedestrians. Option two was a cantilevered footway off the existing bridge. And then option three was a standalone footbridge to run alongside the existing bridge. So the three options were appraised in accordance with the Common Appraisal Framework and the Nifty Appraisal Guidance. The appraisal proposed option one, the shared bridge with raised footpath, to be taken forward as the preferred option. So just the main features of the preferred option then was the provision of a 1.8 metre raised footpath along the northern side of the roadway across the bridge. The roadway itself then was to be reduced down to a single lane of 3.25 metres width. This then would require the installation of a smart traffic light control shuttle system, and then the introduction of a rubbing strip on the southern side of the roadway to protect the parapet wall on the southern side. So that's just a cross section of the preferred option then. So I suppose why option one was chosen as the preferred option, or why it came out on top, really was it had the least environmental impact, and this was very important as we were in the River Barrow Special Area Conservation. The option also preserved the natural heritage of the structure. The other two options, a cantilever structure or a separate structure running alongside the existing bridge, would have had a serious impact on the natural heritage of the structure, which is a protected structure itself. It's the most cost-effective option. The solution was estimated price of just over €100,000, whereas a cantilever structure or a standalone bridge were coming in north of €4 million for those two options. There was no requirement for additional land take, which was important because any additional land would have most likely required compulsory purchase orders. And it was a minimum and acceptable level of impact on traffic flows. Modelling had shown very little queuing would result. The AADT of the regional road at that location is about 1,400 vehicles per day, so it was acceptable. I'll just hand you over to Caitriona now just to go through the public consultation phase.
So it was decided to progress the scheme under the Section 38 process, which empowers the local authorities to carry out certain works, including traffic calming, and it was under the 127,000 threshold as well. While not mandatory then, we decided to go ahead with a non-statutory public consultation process. So the scheme was presented to both Castlecomer in Kilkenny and Bagenstown in Carlow MD meetings in September of 23, and it received unanimous support from all of the councillors. The trial of the proposed measures then took place in October for just 1 week, and I'll come back to that. The drawings then were made available for inspection, and the scheme was put out on the online consultation portals of both councils. And there was also a public information session then facilitated by ourselves on the 15th of February in the village of Gores Bridge. I suppose the consultation event, the consultation event was set up as a display tables and then facilitated by staff of both local authorities. But I'll just come back to that in a minute. So to give it a little bit of context then, there had been a previous engagement in the community through the Leader programme along with some architectural graduates, and this lasted for 4 or 5 days. It's quite an intensive engagement in the village, and this was the report that resulted, and as you can see, the front cover of the report then had a cantilever bridge alongside Gores Bridge, so there was that expectation in the village. And also Gores Bridge, it's a very small village, but it's actually home to a large producer of agri-feed and animal nutrition that has a very large global distribution network. So it's a high percentage of HGVs, and as well as that, it is supplied by a large catchment of local tillage farmers. So there's lots of agricultural machinery and agricultural industry around the village. It's also home to Gores Bridge horse sales, which is the largest horse sales in Ireland, and those events take place regularly throughout the year. And so this was the pilot, and we said the pilot was on a fixed timing light system. So this just lasted for a week because the pilot did cause delays as it was fixed time, but also there was a conflict between parking and the position of the lights as well, which led to additional delays in the village. So submissions were then received through the online portal and by email. There was letters to the chief executives, directors of services, active travel and elected members. There was also submissions received from the town team, and actually there was a change in the committee of the town team at the time because people felt very strongly about the project. And then at that consultation event, which was set up as displays, as I said, rather than a town hall type event, but still there was a very large presence from the agricultural sector, and it was a very vocal presence as well. So that was very much the dominant voice on the night of the consultation. So the themes that arose from it, and I suppose the most vocal theme was the impact it would have on local industry. The other themes that arose were road safety, parking, the impact of the traffic lights and the heritage of the bridge. So then in response to that, and I suppose this was what underpinned all the responses, was that the vast majority of submissions, both for and against the scheme, raised concerns of pedestrian safety and highlighted the urgent need for action. So the option was, there was an interim option then proposed. The option was revised to a 3.55 metre roadway, which would accommodate the larger agricultural vehicles, and then a reduced segregated footway of 1.5 metres in width, and that this would be flush with the road. Another point about road safety was that the narrowing of the roadway over the bridge and the installation of the traffic lights would result in greatly reduced speeds over the bridge. In response to the local industry, one of the big concerns was delays, and I suppose the second concern was the oversized vehicles, and particularly during harvest times. So it was proposed that the scheme would include a smart traffic light system, and I suppose we were at length to explain that it would utilise its real-time data, and they wouldn't experience the queuing that they would have experienced during the trial. For the oversized vehicles, the revised design then would accommodate the agricultural vehicles, and the agricultural vehicles permitted on the public road without an escort is 3.5. The impact of the traffic lights, so the humpback nature of the bridge does not allow for an informal shuttle on this bridge. So there was traffic assessment completed, and that it was found that they would operate well within the acceptable thresholds for capacity, delay and queuing. The other concern was regarding the potential for conflict between parked vehicles and the vehicles queuing at the proposed light system, but that would be addressed with yellow lines which would restrict the illegal parking in the approach to the new traffic lights. And an architectural heritage impact assessment as well also concluded that there was no adverse impact on the character and setting of the protected structures with the revised design, and that in fact the one-way traffic system would reduce the chance of vehicle impact with the protected structure. So there was further reassurances then offered, and this was in particularly there was a lot of engagement with the town team at the time, that this scheme would not rule out the future delivery of a cantilever or separate pedestrian bridge, that there would be no alterations to the layout outside of the pharmacy. So there was space for two car parking spaces out the pharmacy, and this would be retained. And also that there would be a car park provided on the Carlow side of the Barrow at the Gores Bridge, as this was used to access the Barrow Way. And then the revised interim option, I'll hand back over to Seamus.
Yeah, so I suppose after the public consultation process, then it was decided to implement a revised interim option, which addressed a lot of the fears of the locals and the agriculture sector in the area. So the main features of, as Caitriona said, we widened the roadway to 3.55 metres, which would accommodate a lot of the larger agricultural vehicles. There was a reduced on-road footway then of 1.5 metres. So to segregate that from the traffic, we decided to install bolt-down curbs and bollards. And then this option also required installation of the smart traffic light system and the rubbing strip. So just to maybe show you some photos of the finished product. So as you can see, the bolt-down curbs there and the bollards working very well. We even, I suppose, managed to capture a combine harvester actually crossing the bridge and had no problem with the width that was provided. The system it's in place now. I suppose since very early this year, and it's been working very well since, and got through harvest season with no problem. So I suppose in the longer term, we would intend to go back there and replace the bolt-down bollards and curbs with a permanent raised footpath. So that's everything. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, Caitriona and Seamus. Fantastic.